So after Albert, we left the water park and my visit with Yolanda, and Albert continued on his mission. His mission at that stage was to show me some scenes of abuse, animal abuse that humans inflict on our fellow creatures, and he wanted to send me a message. And unfortunately, some of these visits were very distressing for me. But there's an important message there, and I put them in my book, and I will describe them briefly to you. So my next stop was in a large urban park in a city on the east coast of America. And there I watched a little boy, Riley, playing fetch with his Cocker Spaniel, Rascal, while his dad was sitting on a bench, absorbed in his smartphone. Well, it was a fun game until Riley threw the ball over a hedge near the edge of the park. So Rascal goes scrambling around behind the hedge to find the ball, except he was snatched up by a young man named David, who threw him into the back of his van and sped away. So Albert and I, we're traveling in astral form, of course, so we can sort of travel anywhere. So we followed this van outside the city to a farm near the outskirts of the city, a farm owned by a man called Butch. And Albert told me that Butch trained dogs for the fighting rings. He trained dogs to get into the ring and kill other dogs. So David left Rascal with Butch in exchange for some cash. And apparently David did this often. He would snatch dogs from parks and sell them to Butch. And Albert told me that Butch intended to use little Rascal as bait to train one of his fighting dogs to kill. And of course, fighting rings are illegal in most countries, but they still go on despite the fact that they're against the law, unfortunately. So I watched with a sense of foreboding as Butch wrapped duct tape around Rascal's little jaws so he couldn't bite back. Then he put Rascal into the fighting ring. Then he brought his fighting dog, Brutus, an American bull terrier, and dropped him into the ring. Then he watched with delight as Brutus chased poor little Rascal around the ring. Now Rascal was quicker and more agile than Brutus, but soon he became exhausted. And eventually Brutus cornered him and snuffed out his life with a powerful crunch of his jaws to the back of Rascal's little neck. It was a horrible scene to witness, and I really felt badly, especially for the little boy Riley, who would never see his dog again. Anyway, I was devastated by what I saw, but Albert was not finished with me yet. My next trip was to a savanna in Tanzania, in Africa, and there I witnessed a mother black rhino and her day-old calf. And things were quite peaceful until I heard the crack of a rifle, and the mother dropped to the ground instantly, killed with a bullet to her head. The poachers who shot her quickly came up, sawed off her horns, and then sped away, leaving the little baby laying beside his mother, wondering why she wouldn't get up and let him finish his meal. Albert said that I was concerned about the baby dying from starvation because there was no other mother around to feed him. But I soon found out that I shouldn't have been worried about that, because very soon a pack of hyenas came on the scene and tore the baby to pieces. Albert explained that the poachers killed the mother for her horns because they could sell the horns on the black market in China and Vietnam to people who believed that rhino horns could cure a variety of diseases, including cancer. And because of that, Albert said, rhino horns are actually worth more than their weight in gold. Albert said this was just these two scenes that he showed me were egregious examples of how humans can inflict abuse, unwanted and unwarranted abuse on the other animals of our planet. And he said that we really need to stop this abuse and try to help our fellow humans stop the abuse of the creatures so that we can learn to live in harmony with them and let them live in peace. So it was clear that Albert was on his mission to tell me about the abuse that humans inflict on animals, but he was clearly also wanted to show me that we need to stop the abuse of our planet, of Mother Earth with our pollution. So the next stop was under a cavern under the North Pole. And there I met with the consciousness of Mother Earth, Gaia. So Gaia is the life force of our planet, the sum total of all the rivers, oceans, rocks, mountains, and deserts that form part of the third rock from the sun. And I used to think that our planet was nothing more than inert molecules, but I found out that it has a consciousness, and that is Gaia. So I learned that Gaia is very fiercely protective of her flora and fauna, and she wants everyone to live in perfect harmony without any abuse and live in a great ecosystem where everyone can live peacefully and happily, on her surface or wherever they happen to be or under the ocean. She expressed her dismay at all the abuse that humans have been inflicting on Mother Earth by poisoning her rivers and oceans, spilling toxic chemicals onto her soil, and spewing noxious fumes into her atmosphere. And she cannot understand why humans are doing this, because we live on planet Earth as well. She can't understand why we're doing this to our own environment. And she said that way back when, before the Industrial Revolution, humans were not a problem because they didn't cause much pollution and they couldn't really affect many things on the planet. But since the Industrial Revolution, the amount of pollution that we spill onto her soil and oceans and atmosphere has dramatically increased. And she's very dismayed at this. The interesting thing was, she said that she has the ability to fight back. She can actually increase the number and frequency of natural disasters on our planet, such as earthquakes, floods, drought, fires. And she's been doing this a bit more recently, and she says this is a warning shot across our bow. It's a wake-up call. If we don't change our ways, things could go very badly for the planet and for humans and for all the other creatures. So she's not vindictive. She really likes to have humans on her planet, but she really admitted that her planet would be better off without humans in their current form. And she really wants us to change our ways before it is too late. So as we left the cavern, I told Albert I was surprised that our planet actually had a consciousness. And he says, oh yeah, Gaia has many more secrets up her sleeve. And he agreed to show me a couple of them.